righty then. So, solve this one like we solved it on Monday with the substitution. And once we're done with the substitution on this one, then we'll start picking up eliminations. We'll add elimination into our tool belt today. So if I'm going to solve this one by substitution, I'm going to take one of my equations and I'm going to solve it for one of my variables. Well, sometimes we just get lucky and it's already done for us. So we're going to take that one that's already solved for x and we're going to put it into the x in the other equation. So then that's going to be 4y equals 1 minus 3 times the quantity 6 plus 10y. Then I'm going to solve that. So then that's going to be 4y equals 1 minus 18 minus 30y. Then I'm going to add 30y to both sides. And that's going to give me 34y equals negative 17. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 34. And that's going to give me y equals negative 1/2. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it back into one of the equations. Well, why not go with the first one that was already solved for x? And I'm going to say x here equals 6 plus 10 times negative 1/2. And then that is going to give me 6 plus negative 5, because 10 times negative 1/2 is negative 5. That's really 6 minus 5, so x is going to be positive 1. Then I'm going to check it. If x is positive 1 and y is negative 1/2, 4 times negative 1/2 is negative 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 minus 3 is also negative 2. That one checks out. If x is 1, we get 1 there. If y is negative 1/2, this would be negative 5. That'd be 6 minus 5, which would be 1. Checks out there. So then I write my final answer in point form. 1 comma negative 1. Agreed? You will have a quiz this week, Friday. The day after tomorrow, you have a summative quiz. It will be your first summative of the semester. Okay? It will encompass substitution, graphing inequalities, and elimination. Okay? Which we'll get to later. Okay? Love it. So, with that being said, today, let's add elimination back into our toolbox. Sometimes you take tools out of your toolbox, you kind of forget about them, and then you're like, oh, I need that tool. Well, we need this tool from way back when we were in Algebra 1. So let's see how much you remember of this. Again, just like we did on Monday, we'll do this very example then on it. So if you kind of do your work off to the side, if you know what you're doing, and then we'll come through with the steps later on. All right, so the first step in elimination is actually the first two steps. I'm going to give you the first two steps right away. The first step is we're going to line up our equations vertically. Okay? So if I had 8x plus 2y equals 4 was my first equation. And my second equation was negative 2x plus 3y equals 13. Okay? So the first step is we got to line them up vertically so that our x's are in our column, our y's are in a column, equal signs are in a column, and numbers are all in a column. So everything's all Step number 2 says we're going to look for coefficients that are opposite. And they need to be the same number just opposite. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter which variable you choose. Sometimes it's right there for you. Go, whoa, eliminate this one. Okay? But sometimes you might have to manipulate one or both of the equations. So what I mean by that is if I take this bottom equation and I multiply it by 4. So I multiply the whole entire equation by 4. I don't touch anything on the top equation. I leave that as is. If I multiply that entire bottom equation by 4, now I get negative 8x plus 12y equals 52. And I have a positive and a negative 8 in front of as my x coefficients. Okay? So that's what we're talking about there. I could have also multiplied the top equation by 3, bottom equation by negative 2, or top equation by negative 3, bottom equation by positive 2. Then I would have gotten a positive and negative 6 in place of my y's. Okay? So we have to do some rewriting on that too. Okay? Then, step 3 says we are going to add those two equations, and at least one of your variables had better cancel out. So if I add those two equations, 8x minus 8x goes away. That cancels out. It's gone. 2y plus 12y is 14y. 4 plus 52 is 56. And you should get an equation that has one variable and one number if you did your elimination right. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to solve that equation. So we're going to take 14y equals 56, and we're going to divide both sides by 14. If I divide both sides by 14, then I get y equals 4. So now my y is locked in at 4. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute that answer back into either one of the original equations. Okay? Top or bottom, which one? Your choice is top or bottom. Top. Okay. So we're going to substitute it back into the top equation. 8x plus 2 times y, but y is now 4, equals 4. So that is then 8x plus 8 equals 4. If I subtract 8 from both sides, then that's going to give me 8x equals negative 4. And then I divide both sides by 8. That's going to give me x equals negative 1/2. Then, very last step, we check our work. So now we got to go back into the two original equations, and we say 8 times negative 1/2 is going to be negative 4. 2 times 4 is going to be 8. Negative 4 plus 8 is positive 4. Positive 4 is equal to positive 4. Then we got to go -2 times -1/2. That's going to be +1. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 plus 12 is 13. And 13 is equal to 13. So our answer here then would have been -1/2, comma, 4. With me? Questions, comments, concerns, clarification? Try that one using elimination. BFG, we're putting this on the video just for you. Okay? The work that you do may be different than the work that the person next to you does. Because if you try to eliminate X and they try to eliminate Y, you're going to be in two different spots right off the first step. But you're going to come together at the very end and you should get the same answer. But it's kind of like that Robert Frost poem, two paths diverged in the woods. But luckily for us, they reconverged at the end. That was just for you, BFG. Judgment-free zone up here. All right, what variable you want to eliminate? X, okay, because the numbers are a little smaller. Yep, okay, that's fine. So if we're going to eliminate X, we got to multiply the top equation by 4, and we got to multiply the bottom equation by 3. Okay, so if I do that, if I multiply the top equation by 4, I get 12x minus 24y equals, what's that, 36? Okay. If I multiply the bottom equation by 3, I get -12x plus 21y equals -48. Add those two together, I get, so my x's go away. My y's, I get -3 of them left over. My numbers, I got -12. Divide both sides by -3. I get y equals +4. Which one do you want to plug 4 back into? Blue or green? Does it matter? No? Blue? Blue? Okay, we'll go into blue. So 3x minus 6 times 4 is 9. 3x minus 24 is 9. Adding 24. X is 33, dividing by 3, x is 11. If x is 11 and y is 4, 3 times 11 is 33, 6 times 4 is 24, 33 minus 24 is 9, 9 is equal to 9. If x is 11, -4 times 11 is -44. 4 times 7 is 28. -44 plus 28 is -16, and that's what we need it to be. So my final answer here would be 11, comma, 4. Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications? Ooh, but you should have picked that up on the check. You know what I mean? Yep. Yep. All right. Here we go. Go for it. Using elimination. So first we got to line them up. So I'm going to have to move this 6x to the other side, so that's going to become positive 6x. Then plus 3y equals 1. Okay? What variable you want to eliminate? X's or y's? X's or y's? X? Okay, right? So if I'm going to eliminate x, I'm going to have to multiply the top equation by negative 3. And if I multiply that by negative 3, then I get negative 6x minus 3y equals negative 9. My first equation, or my second equation, was 6x plus 3y equals 1. If I add them together, my x's do go away. Negative 3 plus positive 3 is also goes away, which means that there's nothing on that side, and negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8. Rough roll. No solution. Why no solution?
Because no matter what you do with x or y, you're never going to be able to, because they both cancel out.
Okay. Need something more. It's something more, but it's actually something more that's even easier. Why no solution? Because 0 does not equal negative 8. This right here is a false statement. My red statement here is false, so therefore it is no solution. If that red statement was true, then what? So if it was like 0 equals 0, then what? No. Infinite solutions. Yep. Yep. Okay. So if both of your variables drop out, okay, resulting in a true sentence, okay, like that sentence is going to be, if both of your variables drop out, it's going to be, oops, let me put that in red, because that's what I've been doing. Like 0 equals 0, then that's going to be infinite solutions. Okay? If it's like that last one where it was 0 equals some other number, then it's no solutions. And if your variables don't cancel out, well, then you get a point. Then you got a solution. Okay? It's the same as when we were solving by graphic. If they're parallel lines, there's no solution. Okay? So that's this case of parallel lines. If they're the same line, there's infinite solutions. That's the middle case. And if they just intersect, then they intersect in. Just because it's Wednesday, while it's Wacky Wednesday, let's do a word problem. Okay? A 5-pound nut mixture is worth $2.80 per pound. The mixture contains peanuts worth $1.70 per pound and cashews worth $4.55 per pound. How many pounds of each type of nut are in the mixture? Okay. Whew. What are we thinking? P for peanuts, C for cashews? Might as well. Okay. All right. So let's go. P is for peanuts. C is for cashew pounds. All right. So we have two variables, which means we have to come up with two equations. You need one equation. 5 pounds. $2.80. many pounds of peanuts, how many pounds of cashews. Give me an equation. Give me an equation. If P is the amount of peanuts that are, the pounds of peanuts that are in this mixture, and C is the amount of cashews in pounds in this mixture, and it's a 5-pound bag. This one's staring at you, right in the face. You're thinking too hard about it. Can I go P plus C equals 5? Okay. If there's 5 pounds in the bag, and we've got pounds of peanuts and pounds of cashews, that means P plus C has to equal 5. Okay? Now, in the end, I'm going to take a pause here before we go on to the next one. In the end, if we get 7 pounds of peanuts and 18 pounds of cashews in this mixture, are we correct? No. Why not?
It says 5 pounds.
5 pounds. So they got to add up to be 5 pounds. Okay. So when I add my P plus my C, it's got to be 5. If it's something more than 5 or less, well, it's going to be less. They both got to be less than 5, right? In the end, okay, right? Because together they got to add up to be 5. If I get something bigger than 5, which could happen, I've seen it hundreds of times. We did something wrong. Okay, right? Second equation then. Now the second equation in a money type problem is going to be a value of each item. Okay? So how much is 1 pound of peanuts worth? $1.70. So that means that it's going to be 1.70p plus how much is each pound of cashew worth? 4.55. And how much is the mixture worth? Times 5. Yep, 280 times 5. Because that's the value then for each of those. Okay? So, looking at this now, which variable, P or C, do you want to eliminate? Does it matter? No. So let's eliminate P, smaller numbers, right? If I'm going to eliminate P, that means I'm going to multiply my top equation by negative 1.70. Okay? So that's going to give me negative 1.70p minus 1.70c equals 5, carry the 3, 8, negative 8.50. Yes? Negative 8.50? Okay. And then I'm going to have 1.70p plus 4.55c, and that's going to equal 1014. 2.8 times 5 is 14. Yeah. Yeah. Add those two together. My P's go away. What do I got for C's? 2.85. Equals 5.5. Yes? Put your phone to good use. Start using the calculator on it. You know what I mean? I mean, you're on your phone all the rest of the time. Might as well be on your phone now to put, I'm talking to you. Yo, never. You never are on your phone. Okay? Is those numbers right? Yes? No? Maybe? Yeah? Okay? Alright? So now what do we got to do? Divide by 2.85? Here's where I'm gonna need to know. I'm guessing it's under 1, or under 2, I mean. Let's go to 2. We'll go to 2 decimal places. 1.93. We have an agreement with 1.93. Yep. Okay. So cashews then are at 1.93 pounds. Actually, yeah, let's. If cashews are at 1.93 pounds, how many pounds of peanuts are in the mix? That from 5? $3.07? Okay. Yeah. Now, those of you with calculators are going to check that out. 3.07 times 1.7, and then plus 1.93 times 4.55. Why do you got to throw stuff at me right now? I mean, I expect that out of Lincoln after I just picked on him for not being on his phone, finally. Yes? Checks out? No. Okay. I think that was it. 'Twas it. Okay? So now you've got 3 tools in your toolbox to solve systems of equations. You got graphing, which I'm not going to lie to you, the graphing tool is going to be that tool that you use like once every other year. Yeah. Okay? Alright? Substitutions in there and elimination. My favorite one is elimination because it's much easier. I think it's easier. But that's the crazy one.